All right, so I kind of wanted to make this video to kind of just express my thoughts and my feelings on Genshin, the current state of Genshin, and the future of Genshin. Coming from somebody that still enjoys Genshin and still plays Genshin and will probably still continue to play Genshin, not that much, but just coming from somebody like that, right? And the biggest driving factor for making this video was the Honkai Star Rail 3.0 developers notes, right? So I made a video like a couple months ago, right? Maybe around the release of 5.0 Genshin, right? And the video was basically of whether or not you should continue to play Genshin, right? And I came to the assertion that realistically, the only reason you should continue to play Genshin is if you like the story, because Genshin doesn't really offer anything else, really. They have potential for so much stuff, but they just don't do it for some fucking reason. I mean, we all know the reason, but like it's just kind of annoying. The point is that they don't do it, right? So I came like, the only reason why you should continue to play Genshin is if you like the story. If you don't, stop playing. And with Honkai Star 3.0 releasing the developer nights live developer stream notes, basically directly talking about the things that people were pissed off about with Honkai Star 3.0, right? It was kind of the nail in the coffin for me for a certain preconceived notion that I have with Hoyoverse, which kind of breaks my heart with Genshin, right? And that notion was essentially what that notion was if it's a Hoyoverse game, the longer it lasts, the worse it gets. That was my notion when it came to Hoyoverse games. The reason being is because, with Genshin, right? Let's look at Genshin, for example. With Genshin, in the beginning, it's really cool. It's nice. The world looks amazing. It's vast. There's so much stuff in the distance that you can do, right? You're walking through Mondstadt and then you see Dragon Spine in the distance. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's all these new land. I want to get to it. And it hooks you in the beginning. It does. And then the cracks really don't start showing until you've invested a couple, like tens of hours into the game. Maybe like 10, 15, 20. For me, right, I started playing Genshin in 2.6. That was the never-ending Ayaka banner. If anyone remembers that. That was the Ayaka banner that was supposed to run for like 600 days or some shit. That's when I started playing. And up until I finished Inazuma, I would have said this is the best game ever. Oh my god, I love this game. There's so much good about this game. Yada yada yada. And then I didn't start noticing the cracks until I got into Sumeru, where I started noticing that, damn, the combat's kind of fucking boring. I was like, damn, Spiral Abyss is kind of ass. Damn. The dialogue kind of fucking sucks. You know what I mean? Like the cracks really don't start showing until you get later into the game, right? And then new patch after new patch after new patch. And then what kind of killed me, what kind of sent me off the wall was the fucking 3 years 3 wishes bullshit that they did last year, like 4.4 or 4.3 or some shit, where they're like, oh, you played our game for 3 years, here's 20 cents worth of in-game currency, thanks Hoyoverse. And that's basically what they did. And that kind of like, I was like, all right, that's what the fuck is this? And that was kind of like the breaking point. I was like, okay, and I significantly played less and less, and then I kind of started making videos on Genshin, being like, how crappy it is, critiquing. I started really critiquing Genshin after that. And after that whole scenario, that's when Honkai Star Rail released. Right, Honkai Star Rail released, and then same, rinse repeat. You're in the beginning, it pulls you in, and then you have fucking Belobog, which is like the greatest piece of story in like any of the gacha games right now. I still think Belobog is better than anything any of the other games have produced. And then you get to a Genshin Lafu, which was it was pretty good. I think people hated on it a little too much, but I do think it was pretty good. Not as good as Belobog, but it was still really good. And then you get to Penacony. And Penacony, holy fucking shit. Penacony sucked fucking ass. Oh my god. 2.1 was the beginning of the end for me. The Yafest, bro, I remember vividly. I was streaming 2.1. Honkai Star was the biggest reason why I also kind of stopped streaming as well. But I was streaming 2.1. And I'm not bullshitting. I fell asleep midstream. I felt like for a good 30 seconds, I passed the fuck out. I was gone. And then I noticed myself falling asleep, and I just woke up, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta continue. But it was so bad. And then, oh my god. And then what really killed me with Panaconi was 2.6. It was 2.6 with Rappa and the fucking monkeys. It was, oh my god. I actually felt bad for forcing my brain cells to have to decipher that horrendous dog shit. It was so bad. And that, like, 2.6 irreparably damaged Honkai Star. It was so ass. It was so fucking ass. So that's when I kind of had this that's when I kind of built up this notion of, okay, so clearly the Horrorverse, the longer a game is, the worse it fucking gets. Which is why I kind of had this doomsday expiration clock for Zenless Zone Zero, because I was like, it's gonna get bad. It's gonna get bad. It's gonna get bad. I kept telling myself that, and then, you know, you had 1.0 to 1.3, which was kind of where people kind of just stopped playing the game. One, because of the TVs, and then, like, there were a lot of things that kind of didn't make sense, like everyone sharing one ultimate and things like that. And even though I was actively like, yo, like, give the game a chance. The game's actually pretty fun. Like, give the game a chance. I was one of the few people that was like, yo, give the game a fucking chance. It was like, whoa, the game's not that bad. But then 1.4 happened, where they kind of just overhauled the game and then changed so much shit. And it was amazing. And then it kind of just refreshed my love for Zenless Zone Zero. But that doomsday clock was still kind of in my head, where I was like, it's gonna get bad. It's gonna get bad. It's gonna get bad. Right? And then Honkai Star 3.0 launched, which was kind of proved my preconceived notion of, holy shit, the longer a game lasts, yeah, the worse it fucking gets. Because I'm not gonna lie, Genshin Impact did their Lantern Rite, event, which was essentially a Hu Tao Story Quest Part 2. And it was so much better than Honkai Star 3.0. It was. The storytelling was so good. It was like there was new animations, no black screens. Any PNGs that were on the screen were there for like 5 seconds or less. They kind of did the bullshit where, like, they kind of like made you think something was gonna happen to Hu Tao, when in reality y'all knew nothing was gonna happen to her. But, you know, it is what it is there. But the point is that, like, yeah, the Lantern Rite event for Genshin with Hu Tao, it was better than Honkai Star 3.0. It was. And Genshin Impact is like the benchmark for what not to do. So if Genshin is doing better than you at something, you are fucking up. That's what it was. And so yeah, that's when I was like, I was like, yo, yeah, I had it in my head where I was like, the worse it gets, the longer it lives, the worse it gets. And then Honkai Star released their 3.0 developers notes, where they directly addressed everything that people were critiquing about with Honkai Star 3.0. Right now, obviously, what matters is how they're going to implement it. That's what really matters. But the point that I'm trying to get across is that they directly talked about everything people were complaining about. Like, verbatim, they said the black screen with the white text. And that put me into perspective, where I was like, I have to think, like, did Genshin ever do anything like that? Like, did Genshin ever directly say, this is what people are complaining about, this is what we're doing to fix it? Did Genshin ever do that? And I'm thinking to myself, like, no. Genshin has always used vague wording and, like, specific wordplay to describe any quality of life update that they put in, to say that, hey, we're listening to you. This is how we're gonna fix it, and if you don't like it, well, that's not how what we said we were gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, to give you a perfect example of what I mean. This is a mechanic people have forgotten about because nobody fucking gets it. It's the capturing radiance, right? Which was supposed to be this mechanic to help people stop losing 50/50s more, and, like, help people get more characters that they want, right? So that was supposed to be a mechanic where, like, if you lose the 50/50, you have a chance of getting the capturing radiance, where, oh, you lost the 50/50, well, you didn't lose, here's the character that you wanted anyways. You know what I mean? That was supposed to be like this mechanic that helps people get more characters that they want and lose the 50/50 less, right? And it sounds good in theory, but the way they described it was so vague. Even people were like, what the fuck, how does it work, right? And then come to find out that the way it works was the fucking capturing radiance has a pity system. So in order for the capturing radiance to happen, you have to lose the 50-50 a couple times in order for it to happen. It's not like there's a percentage where you have a specific percentage amount chance for it to just happen. No, you have to lose it. You have to lose the 50-50 a certain amount of times for the capture radius to happen, right? That's what I mean when I say Genshin likes to use very odd wording to address what people are talking about, but not in the way that they want, not in the way that we want, right? So that it kind of, and that's when I had this sad epiphany where I was like, maybe it's not Hoyoverse. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not entirely Hoyoverse. Maybe the Genshin Impact devs really are just that incompetent or that lazy or that stupid. Because when it comes to any gaming company, right? When it comes to any gaming company or gaming studio, there is a percentage of like, it's not really the developer's fault. It's the guys in black suits and the executives forcing them to monetize the game in a way that maybe they don't agree with, but they have to because they're the investors, they're the shareholders and all that. So there are times where like you're like, yeah, it's not really developers, it might be the corporation. And then when you look at Genshin specifically, it's like I think Genshin is one of the few cases where it's like it might literally just be the developers. It might actually not just be Hoyoverse. It might just be the developers are just that ass. Like they just do not give a fuck about this game. That's how it really feels. And it sucks because, you have people like me that like, I want to like the game more, but I know there's nothing to the game, right? Every time I log into Genshin, I'm like, all right, let's see what we're gonna do. I look around for 2 seconds. I'm like, all right, there's nothing to do. So I just stop playing it. It's like, it's really bad, right? And so now I'm here thinking about like, what does the future of Genshin look like? Well, there are rumors that Snezhnaya has been pushed back, right? That we're not going to go to Snezhnaya next year or at the end of this year. We might go to Snezhnaya like near the end of 2026. Rumors, I don't know. I'm not a fucking leaker. I'm just whatever. This is whatever. Right now, if that is true, that means we're going to have like a year and a half of like not really going to any new places, maybe some map expansions, but we're not going to any new regions for another year and a half. And if that's the case, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't think there's really Genshin has like gone down so bad, has like gone down tremendously, and like Wuthering Waves has just raised the standards so much that I don't think any quality of life update that Genshin does will truly redeem its black sheep status in the space right now. So, like honestly, I think what Genshin needs to do, they're not going to do it. Let's keep it real. They're not going to fucking do it. But what they need to do is they need to overhaul the game from the ground up and straight up just do a Genshin Impact 2. They need to do a Genshin Impact Part 2. Like, I'm not bullshitting. They need to rework the game from the ground up and do a Genshin Impact Part 2. In order for them to like build any sort of good PR and like good relevance in the space. Because I'm telling you right now, Wuthering Waves doesn't have enough brand power to actually compete with Genshin as of right now, but like that might change when Ananta comes out or Arcanite Ensfield or any of these other highly anticipated games coming into the space. So this year and a half that they have, supposedly, I don't like this is assuming that Snezhnaya has been pushed back, but this year and a half that they have, they really need to, if they actually care about, they have two routes to go. If they actually care about making the game better, which let's keep it real, I don't think they do. But if they actually do care about making the game better, they need to start overhauling the game like right now. Like they really need to start overhauling the game right now. If not, they're not going to overhaul the game and make it better. What they need to do is just make the story as digestible as possible. If the story is the only good thing about Genshin, it's the only thing that they've said that they care about. They've said this before, that story is the biggest thing that they care about for Genshin. They need to make the story as good as they possibly can and as digestible as they possibly can in the next year. Like straight up. But I don't know. With Genshin, no, I said it, I think I said it before, like we're at a point now with Genshin where you need to come to a decision. Either stop fucking playing it or accept it for what it is. Because that's the truth. Genshin will probably never be better than any of the contenders. there might be times where it might be better than Honkai Star Rail because Honkai Star Rail has just gone down so bad. But there's never going to be a time where I'm like, I don't think there's ever going to be a time where people are going to be like, yeah, I like Wuthering Waves, but Genshin has this that Wuthering Waves doesn't. No one will ever say that. No one will ever say that. So, like, with Genshin, it's just like, if you're someone like me who still plays Genshin, you have to come to a decision. Either quit it now and forever hold your peace and just say, all right, I'm done with Genshin. Or if you're going to continue to play, accept it for what it is. Because let's keep it real, it's just not really going to get any better. Yeah, that's just my opinion on the whole thing. I just wanted to express my thoughts. Maybe people are feeling different, but this is just my thoughts on the whole situation. But I'm curious to what other people might think.